All right, Isaiah, can you give us a quick introduction and tell us a bit about your background before we dive into your college journey?
Yeah, so my name is Isaiah Heyman McDowell. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I go to a school in a suburb area of Cleveland called
Mhm.
Warrensville Heights. I'm a senior athlete. Guess a little bit of background information about me. I guess I enjoy a lot of things. I used to play I used to play instruments and stuff like that in school. I was a bit into the arts a lot, and yeah, I have a family of four. It's me, a younger brother, and a younger sister, and my mother. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Amazing, amazing. And I saw on LinkedIn that you got committed to Pomona College. So I guess
Yes.
when did you first consider Pomona as a possibility? Was it like always a dream school for you?
No, actually. When I was after 11th grade year, when I was trying to navigate the college application process and
Mhm.
try to understand where I wanted to go, I kind of really didn't have any schools in mind. I wanted to know more about a lot of schools. One of the schools that I did have in mind it was UPenn because my uncle went there. But other
Mhm.
than that, I had no school in mind. Summer and going into the fall, I took a lot of time trying to figure out a lot more about schools, visiting schools to understand what school really like resonated with me. Pomona College was a school I got to visit, and that school really, really resonated with me, especially with me being on the east, I guess, side of the country, visiting the west side of the country, visiting LA. It was nice weather. The community was so just amazing, and also just the liberal arts, I guess, vibe was always something that really resonated with me. And I knew that I wanted to go to a smaller school, and Pomona
Mhm.
College gave that to me, so that's why I kinda chose Pomona College in the end.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense. The liberal arts vibe definitely like it definitely is a very important part of your college process for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get honest about your stats. So, I guess what was your GPA and test scores?
Yes, so my, GPA was at the time that I submitted my application, I believe 4.25,
Mhm.
and for test scores, I actually did not submit my test scores. One of the reasons why I didn't submit my test scores was especially navigating the college application process. I didn't know if my test scores were scores that I should submit or I shouldn't submit. Mainly because when you sometimes, when you're looking at these very, very competitive schools, you're looking at the test range and you're saying that, oh, this school, their range is like 15 to 15, like
Yeah.
80, or you're like, wait, I don't really have those scores. But what was so crazy is because I realized that maybe that I probably could have submitted my scores and still got in, which I found out after I got in. But it's just a reality for a lot of students that, you don't really always need a high test score, especially if you are well rounded in a lot of other areas. So yeah, so I didn't submit my scores, but I still got in, which is I guess the testament of how I guess well rounded my application was.
Mhm.
I guess more like I guess stat type of things. I was also second in my class. I think that also
Okay.
played a factor too with me being, I guess, in the highest of
True,
my
true.
class. Yeah. And I believe actually an admissions officer spoke about that when I had talked to him when I visited the school. I did a fly-in. I don't know if you know what fly-ins are.
Mhm. Yeah.
College. So I did that. I did a fly-in to Pomona College, and I got to meet the admissions coach. And he mentioned one of the things that he liked about my flying application was how rigorous my courses were, and also my rank and my GPA. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. And you mentioned that you did not submit the test scores. What
Yes.
were the test scores for you?
So were my test scores? Yeah, my test score was a 1350. I got a 1350 on the SAT yeah, 1350. And so the
Okay.
super score was 1350 as well. So 1350.
Like, did you take any AP classes as well? And if so, how many AP classes did you take? Your scores.
Yeah, so my school actually didn't offer a lot of AP classes. We were a dual enrolled
Oh, okay. Okay.
schools. I did a lot of college courses, but however, the AP classes that I did take was AP Lang. I didn't take any other. We only offered two AP courses, but due to scheduling, I couldn't take another one. But I took AP Lang, and I got a 3 on that test. I had a 3 on that
Okay.
test. Yeah.
And what about the dual enrollment courses? Like, what courses did you take?
Yeah, so I took about, I believe, 20 college courses,
Yeah.
um, which was a pretty hefty amount. I took it over the span of my ninth grade and 12th grade year. By the end of my 12th grade year, I think I would have taken about like 25, I think, 20, 25, 26 courses. And yeah, so those were the courses that I took. And just, I guess, for some courses that I've taken were like English classes, history classes, government classes, psychology classes, and all those sorts of things. Yeah.
Got it.
So
And how did you balance taking all of these courses, like, while maintaining your GPA?
yeah, so it was a lot of work to balance
For
all of
sure.
that. I think for me it was I guess also to coming home, having like a schedule for every single thing that I had to take, really just balancing, I guess, my schedule was one of the things that helped me kind of push myself through, I guess, the threshold of all these classes. And so yeah, I think the scheduling, the time management was one of the biggest factors of how I kind of went through this entire process. Yeah.
Got it, got it. And let's move on to your extracurriculars, I guess. So when did you really start focusing on building your EC profile for college life?
Yeah, so for me, it was the end of 10th grade year is when I really started to really, really involve myself with extracurricular activities and also like pursue activities outside of my school.
Mhm,
After 10th grade year, I did an internship at my city government. I worked with the office of the mayor, and I'm a political science major for just
mhm.
for
Okay.
heads up for anyone who wants to know, I guess, what my major is. So I did that. I also worked with my U.S. representative. I served on her congressional council, and I helped her implement like policy and legislation. I also worked with the mayor of Cleveland, and implemented legislation for the city council. And yeah, so I did a lot of like, I guess, political science related stuff. I also did like more like leadership stuff. So I worked with some nonprofit organizations, such as an organization called Eudaimonia, where
Mhm.
that organization was geared towards helping a lot of low income and socially economic disparate students. And yeah, and I also even started some programs of my own. I started a political podcast at my school, started a journalism club. I was the founder of my journalism club and ran that entire club. I was the editor in chief of my school. So yeah, so I did a lot of leadership, things like that, those natures. I also did a lot of CBO programs. I did a
Mhm.
program called Thrive Scholars, which was a amazing program. It helped me, I guess, work and gear up for the college application process. I did a program at Amherst College after my 11th grade year, and I was there for 6 weeks, and I got to take classes there, and I got to meet a lot of other students. And that program really helped me as I went into my senior year. Really, really, I guess, preparing for the competitive application process.
Got it, got it. It seems like your application was quite coherent, so it was a lot of political science stuff.
Yeah, it was very, very coherent, I would
Mm,
say for sure. With me being a political science major, I wanted them to know how serious I was about that major. So, doing things that I was doing, I think
mhm.
that kind of really showed them that okay, this student has a really, really I guess a taste for this major. So I think he will really, really perform well, I guess,
Yeah.
in those classes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Another question I get a lot from students in my DMs is basically like, how do you quantify impact when your numbers aren't huge for some activities? For example, it's just a small project you've been doing. So, like, how would you say you should go about quantifying impact in that case?
So like quantifying when like you're not making such a huge, huge impact.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a huge, huge impact. And like a lot of people are scared because like the current education landscape is like extremely crazy, as you know.
Yeah, and for those students, I would say because I had the same question. Like
Mhm.
I didn't think my stats. I didn't think, well, not my stats, but I didn't think my extracurricular activities were anything like crazy. Right, when there's other kids doing like even crazier things, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think for what you should which what you should show in your application is, um, just the impact that you're doing, because the impact speaks, no matter what the numbers look like, it speaks volume. I know when I was working at the 10th grade year from city government, I mentioned in my application some of the things that I did in that role, which, I helped the economic development department for the mayor with the summer fair that was going on. Help with that fair. It's nothing really crazy, but I also contributed. I helped, and I helped with a lot of the more paperwork stuff and meeting with different business leaders in our local community. So
Mhm.
something that I guess anybody can really do. And I very well expressed that in my application, and I guess that something like that really spoke, and it really resonated with the admission officers. Like this kid, is doing stuff in his own community, and really playing a big part in his community. So I don't think you need to do anything nationally or anything like
Mhm.
globally to be impressive in the college application process. You just have to show impact and show that you really are dedicated and that that you are being somewhat impactful on the work that you're doing.
Got it, got it. Thanks so much for that. Alright, let's move on to your awards and honor section. So, I guess, like, how strong do you think your awards and honor section was? What did you include in them? Let's just get over them, yeah.
Yeah, so for awards, honors, I had a lot of awards, obviously, in my high school. So, like obviously honor roll, stuff like that. Regional awards had a lot of regional awards from like different like national, well, not national, but like regional like nonprofit organizations that I received, and I did a lot of work in the nonprofit area, so also got some
Mhm.
awards in that space. For like my bigger like national awards, I was a Questbridge National college match finalist. I did the Questbridge route, so that also was something that I guess that spoke highly, I guess, of my academics. Um, I again, like I said, I was a Thrive Scholar. That's also a national, highly ranked program, and it's really well known with a lot of top schools in like institutions. And I think what are some? I did a lot of like I did academic bowl. Was a champion in my what do you call it, the district area. Well,
Yeah,
I did those sorts of things. And yeah, I'm trying to think some other things come in mind. Maybe just like other like little awards. But I do think the awards that I did have, though, I think they showed how much I was, I guess, again, like involved in my community. Because a lot of my
mhm,
awards that I got, like in my college, like the local college that I attended, I made the dean's list multiple times. And I also got some awards for just being part of the student government there as well. I was a part of student government at my local college, and I got a lot of awards for just representing the people in that college. So it's just a lot of community awards and a lot of I guess like academic awards for recognizing my academic I guess excellence. So yeah, so just a lot of just minor awards. And I didn't have a lot of national awards, but granted, I am a first gen low income student. I didn't have a lot of access to a lot of major programs and major I guess, activities, such
mhm,
as like the national, like, speech and debate or, like, DECA or
yeah,
anything like that. I have a lot of friends that did those programs, but I didn't have a lot of access to those. I think also too, a lot admissions really do look at context, and understanding that and also from, like, a small town, I didn't have a lot of access to those resources, so I did the most that I could do in the space that I had. Yeah.
got it. I think this gives a lot of context to a lot of students who are in a similar situation. Yeah, so let's move on to your essays. So, I guess, like, how do you suggest students should approach essay writing first? And what was your essay about? And, like, how did you go about it? So,
Yeah, so how students should approach the essays, I think, well, one, something I did was I started my essay in the summer. So I would recommend that if you are really trying to get into these competitive schools, I do think that you should take some initiative and start a lot earlier in the process. So I started in June. I started at the end of June. I was
mhm,
working, trying to figure out what I wanted to write. And sometimes it requires a lot of drafts. I wrote a lot of drafts. I had a lot of people look at my essays and really just dissect my essays. I actually wrote two personal statements. One I wrote during the summer. I thought it was good in my head, but then I realized that I should write something else. But I ended up choosing to write about my experience as an adopted kid and kind of navigating the life that I once had and life that I do have now, and understanding uh, some of the privileges that I have been like rewarded, but also to a lot of the things that I've overcome and challenges that I overcome still now to this day, as still being a first gen low income student. And writing that essay was something that it felt so complete for me to write it. And I had so many people, not so many people, but I had a couple people look at it. My advisors during the time, they looked at it and they thought that this essay could have really helped me get into a good school. They thought it was pretty good. I think it was from my decisions. I think that it was pretty good. So yeah. So, and then also like for supplementals too, I spent about a good couple of weeks working on supplementals for a lot of my early decision schools. Because with QuestBridge, you're applying to multiple schools
mhm,
to a match to a school. So I wrote a lot of supplementals for other schools. I think I ranked like four schools, which was Pomona, Hubs, Marie, and Swarthmore College. So
mhm,
I ranked those schools and I wrote some of the supplementals for those schools. And yeah, so I would just say for students who are, I guess, a little scared about the essay process, which it can be a little scary because sometimes you can get like those moments of like, I don't really know what to write about, right? Or like, will my writing even like sway my decision? And I think it can. I think it will. Um, just like I say, just put your best foot forward in your application, and well, in your essays, and just I guess just teach what happens. Just, but yeah. So and how would you go about telling kids how they should write their essays or anything of that matter?
Yeah, so I think the main thing I preach is that the essay should not be about what you've already stated in the application throughout as well. For example, a lot of people,
Yeah.
what they say is basically they'll write down all of their most impressive achievements that has already been mentioned in their awards and honors, activities, etc., and then they would just restate it. That usually does not work because I think the main point of the Common App essay is that you have to convey that to the admission officer that you are a human, right? So they
Mhm.
should be able to get to know you as a person through that essay because they know that you're a great kid. Everyone's a great kid who's applying to these colleges, right? So you
Yes.
have to convey like the human part of your human part to the admission officers. So that's how I tell my students to write their essays, and I think that should be the priority.
I think that's important. I like how you said that because that was something that my advisors as well really, really told me not to do was to just explain things that
Yeah,
the application already stated, things I've already stated in my application, because it's just a reiteration of everything that you already talked
yeah,
about, and it
yeah,
doesn't the chance to kind of really understand who you are as a person. Hence the personal statement. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No, no, for sure. I think that's the biggest mistake students make. And
yeah.
also another mistake is that they usually just show uh they're not really like
Oh, some
inciting any emotions in the admissions officers. They have to express it in a way that, can waste some kind of emotion, like evoke some kind of emotion in the admission officer. And that's really hard to do, but it's like it's very important as well. All right,
hmm
like let's move on. I guess like what's the number one piece of advice you would give to anyone who's applying this year to college at Pomona?
That's a really good question. The number one advice I would say be open. Be open
Okay.
to any school. I think something I've seen. Well, one in myself, because I think I've done this during the application process, but also that I have friends that also done this as well. I think be open to different colleges. Sometimes a lot of students they go in with the mindset of this is the college I'm going to go to,
Yeah.
and then are very deterred and very hurt if something doesn't go their way. I would say just be open to a lot of colleges, and I would say go to the college that that honors the work that you put in, and that's where I feel like I'm going to a school that honors the work that I have put in for the past 4 years of my life. This is not the school that I intended to go to a year from now. I didn't know what the school was. I do think that you will find the school that will really, really just love the amazing work that you have been putting through for the past years and just see the amazing person that you are. So yeah, I would say that for sure. And also too, just, I understand that this process will have its ups and downs. That it's not going to be just,
Yeah.
well, it could be, and the process is different for every person. And I will say, don't compare yourself to other people. I think that's something that I had to understand as I navigated the process in the beginning is that, my process looked different. My process looked different from other people. And I think sometimes when you go on TikTok and you go on YouTube and you look at these people who are, just easily going through the process and you feel like, this is not happening for you, you got to understand that, that's not really the reality for a lot of people. And a lot of people have to go through the process and experience the ups and downs of the process. So just understand that you're not alone when you're going through this process. If you do experience those ups and downs, that a lot of other people are going through the same thing, and that just just I guess just feel the feels, but do know that where you end up going is the college that was meant for you at the end of the day. So I would say that for sure. That's the advice that
Nice
I can give.
yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, you got there right. Like a lot of people, like I'll add one more thing. A lot of people just fall into the trap of like prestige. So they don't really
Yeah,
look at if the college really fits their needs and if they'll be happy at it. It's just that, okay, Harvard, Princeton, okay, I want to go there. But that's not necessary that you'll be happy there? So you
right.
also have to like research them properly to see if you'll get a good fit there. All right. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for your time. I think it'll be extremely helpful for students who are applying to college this year. And I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.